Beautiful. All right, the title of today's discussion is Who Am I When There's Nothing Left to Control? This one is going to be a little bit deeper, right? I like to talk with you guys about prosperity and about abundance and about your specific people and those things that you like. But then I need to balance it out, right? We got to stay at the core of the message that you are everything that you desire to be. Okay, you are everything that you desire to be. So it's getting back to that I am awareness. Who are you? Who are you truly, right? So this one might be a little bit deeper. We're gonna dive into a concept at the end that might cause some questions, but that's good. It might cause some questions, but that's good, right? All roads have been leading there, right? Just when you think we can't get deeper, what more could we dive into? Days like today happen. All right, so here we go. The main point that we are going to discuss is this. You will stop trying to trust God when you realize that you were never apart from God to begin with. What do I mean by this? We hear things like, I am the observer. I simply need to go with the flow. Just trust. Just allow. But even that is an identity. Right? Even that becomes this identity of the ego where I'm sitting here and I'm simply trying to trust, forcing myself to look at something that I do not like and feel better about it. So even that becomes an identity. So we're going to go deeper. You will stop trying to trust God when you realize that you were never apart from God to begin with. Beautiful. All right, so let's go into it. Control is the ego's favorite illusion. Happy Friday, my brother. Control is the ego's favorite illusion. It gives us the feeling of power, safety, and certainty in a world that constantly shifts beneath our feet, right? Moment after moment, things change, right? Every moment is new, different, beautiful in its own way. There's nothing to cling to. There's nothing to let go of. It all just flows, right? We plan, strive, and calculate to keep chaos at bay, believing that if we can just hold everything together, life will finally make sense. If I can just hold my faith together, if I can just observe long enough, if I can just stay in the wish fulfilled long enough. But what happens when the plans fall apart? When the job ends, when the relationship breaks, when the body fails, and every illusion of control crumbles, in that collapse, a deeper question emerges. Who am I when there's nothing left to control? That moment of surrender, right? We'll hear people in entrepreneurship or whatever the case may be, and they might say things like, I hit rock bottom and then everything just worked out. What is this rock bottom? What is this place of surrender, right? That seems to be such a holy place. We hear about it in the spiritual path. I just went all in. I had nothing else to do. All right. I've talked about it in my journey. The notice was there. I did not know what to do. Boom. I had no choice but to surrender. What is this? All right. So this question, who am I when there's nothing left to control? This is a liberating question. It calls us to meet life beyond the clenched fist of resistance and into the open hand of surrender. When control dissolves, what's left is the raw current of existence moving through you and never against you. It is the invitation to discover a self that doesn't need to force, fix, or manage reality because it is reality. This is the greater meaning of surrender. It isn't to sit there and try to feel better about something I don't like. Right? Even when I say reality just is what it is, it's going to take care of itself. God can take care of itself. That's not profound enough. And I've been even wrestling with that phrase. How can I explain this better? How can I explain that shit better? Right? It's the invitation to realize I don't need to force, fix, manage, feel better about anything. Because I am reality. There's nothing to do. There's no need for me to identify with the mind, right? The mind has all these thoughts that pop up. Fear, anxiety, doubt, worry, even happiness, joy, excitement, funny, right? All of these things pop up, but you're not any of them. You are the awareness behind them. Those things rise and fall within you, within your consciousness, But you're not any of those things. Okay? You're not any of those things, and yet you are all of those things. The divine paradox. We're going to get into that, all right? We're going to get into that. What if the loss of control isn't punishment, but a doorway into divine order where life finally flows? Because you stop standing in its way. This is when life actually does start moving. When we get out of the way, when we get out of our own way. Right? When God gets out of God's way, now God can do what it does. Right? So what happens when there is nothing left to fix, improve, or force? What remains when every effort collapses and the hands that tried to shape destiny finally fall open? What happens when you get tired of manifesting? Right? You've been trying to manifest your specific person for 8 months. What happens when you're tired of it? What happens when you're tired of trying to manifest that money? What happens? Who are you when there's nothing left to control? Who are you? You discover a terrifying, luminous truth. You were never the doer. You were the dream of the doer, pretending to steer the wind. Every breath, every heartbeat, every decision you thought was yours was life moving itself through the illusion called you. All right, so here's a beautiful quote from the Tao Te Ching, from Lao Tzu, Tao Te Ching, right? Do nothing and nothing will be left undone. It's a pretty famous, popular quote in the spiritual space, right? It sounds super mystical though. Do nothing and nothing will be left undone. Right? Just say, cease striving and know. Stop trying to be worthy and know you're worthy and everything is going to work out. Just know that you are already it and everything's going to work itself out for you. All right? But of course, we got to get a little bit more poetic than that. So let's talk about it. All right? So what this quote, this do nothing and nothing will be left undone. When we hear do nothing, cease striving, be still, the first instinct might be to go to laziness. But that's actually the opposite of this. It doesn't mean inactivity per se, right? It means the trying to become stops. And now I realize that I've always been. I simply am. Huh? So this is the true definition of divine alignment. When the mind ceases its frantic need to manipulate reality, the natural intelligence of the Tao, of spirit, of the divine, of source begins to move through you effortlessly. The tree does not strive to grow, yet it reaches the heavens. The river does not fight its path, yet it carves valleys through stone. So it is with the awakened one. They have learned the art of non-interference, right? Stop getting in the way of God. Stop getting in your own way, right? It's just God getting in the way of God. They move when moved, speak when spoken through, act when action arises naturally, and in their stillness, all things find perfect order. To do nothing is to realize that being itself is the highest action. Being is the highest action. The universe unfolds not through effort, but through the harmony of alignment. When you let go of forcing, you make room for flow. The ego builds, the Tao spirit reveals. The more you surrender your will to the divine rhythm within, the more your life becomes a masterpiece painted by unseen hands. In that sacred silence of non-doing, the impossible completes itself, and the world bends effortlessly toward your peace. When you stay in the center of reality, right? We've likened your being to you sitting in a throne, on a throne in the center of reality, right? When you understand what God is spirit. God is the fabric of reality. God is the isness, the everything, the all, right? Nothing is outside of God. There is nothing but to God. There is nothing but God. Nothing is outside of God, all right? And so the fullness of God is within you because God can't be divided. You can't say a piece of God is there, a piece of God is there. So when people are like, oh, you're a fragment of God. No, God cannot be divided. God is all that there is. Omnipotent, omnipresent, right? So the fullness of God is within you. No separation. There is no separation. A fragment would imply separation. There's a piece of God here, a piece of God there. No, that is not spirit. That is not spirit. There is only oneness. There is only unity. There is no fragment of God. There is only God. All right. So now the fullness of God is within you, and you sit in the center of reality as God, looking at itself. Right. The quote from Meister Eckhart: "The same eye with which I see God is the eye with which God sees." Right. So you are looking at God, and as you are looking at God, God is looking through you at itself. Right. When you are looking for God out there, God is watching you, being you, looking for yourself out there. Okay? So now, because you're the fullness of God, you sit in the middle of yourself. All of this is you. So there is this beacon of divine light that is just glowing within you 24/7. This is the fullness of God. And so you walk through reality as this golden light, right? And all of your assumptions as you walk through the room, your holiness, your assumptions, your perspective of the world of who you are flows outside of you, and it animates everything. So when you say, "I am love," everything now reflects that love. You animate it. Everyone else is simply an empty vessel carrying your assumption. Carrying your assumption. Right? You walk in and you say, "I am prosperity." The world reflects it. You say, "Things just don't work out." Right? If you want to be delusional and say things just won't work out, right? We're going to start calling delusional the negative things. Even though it's all delusional. We're going to have to start reframing this. When you start acting delusional and saying things are just never going to work out for me, that assumption flows out of you and animates everything around you. And then you are just confronted with yourself. So you sitting in the center of reality, right? Perceiving this separation that God is out there. What do you continuously do? Because remember, the nature of sin or missing the mark stems from the illusion of separation. So let me talk about it like this, all right? So right now, let's say that I don't believe that I'm God. I don't believe God is here, right? I think God is out there. God is separate. Okay? Now I have a desire, and I believe I have to go out there and plead to God to give it to me. So I have to leave the center of reality, and I have to go out there and get it. Now, if I believe that, it's going to be very difficult for me to accept it when somebody says your desire is already yours. You're already that person. Just accept it. Like, no way. So I have this desire. Where does this desire come from? I might think it's just there to tempt me. It's there to haunt me. I have to do all these things to become the person that can actually handle it. So I'm keeping this desire out there the same way that I keep God out there. And so I'm constantly affirming, constantly trying to become someone. And the paradox of affirming or trying to become somebody is what? I'm saying I'm not that person. So I'm constantly looking out in a future that doesn't exist because the future is just a thought. And I'm saying when I'm this person, then I'll have it. When God grants me this wish, if I ask nice enough, if I'm kind enough, if I affirm the right way, if I meditate enough, if I go to church enough, if I fast enough, if I retain my seed enough, if I do this enough or that enough, do. Constantly trying to do things to what? Get closer to a God that you feel that you are separate from. This is where all the lack, this illusion of separation constantly keeps you in lack. You look at everything different, right? Me trying to step on another's neck to give money, to get money. Man, I'll do whatever to you to get that money. It means I don't see you as God. I don't see you as me. I don't see prosperity as flowing from me. I see it as something out there that I have to go get. It's something separate from me. The illusion of separation just leads you down that path, right? I see somebody else in a happy relationship and I want that. I say, damn, everybody gets it but me, right? I start acting delusional. I start being delusional about this shit. Man, it's just not working out. It always is happening for other people. Instead of me realizing the truth, if it is something I can perceive within my consciousness, I can have it. Anything that I can be conscious of, I have. I am already. So I simply accept that I can have this as well. There's no need for jealousy. The jealousy simply stemmed from my illusion of separation. That was it. The illusion of separation. I'm thinking that things are really out there and away from me. Instead of accepting that anything that I can perceive, I am. It was that beautiful question that was asked on the stream this morning. And, the goddess, she was juggling, how to perceive certain things in life. She was like, I know I'm the source, but sometimes I just see shit I don't want. I see shit I don't like. And all it was the simple reframing of it. It was, well, if you are all that there is, and if God created, source created every path, if every path exists, what do you expect to not see? What do you expect to not see? If all that there is has created all that there is, right? Because even the quote unquote off the path is built into the path to allow you, to give you the grace to what? Forget and remember who you are, and forget again and remember who you are. All of these paths are divinely intertwined, and all paths lead to the infinite. Infinite paths to the infinite. So you see what? Even when you see two people arguing, it's just two different perspectives of all that there is, exploring the boundaries, the contrast between them, the different perspectives of all that there is. What is good, what is bad, right? There's some perspective of mine for me to say, oh, well, this is right, this is wrong. And you could argue, and you could be like, no, certain things are wrong, Alex. And I would say, okay. And that is also your perspective. That is also your perspective, right? So we're all simply taking this different perspective of all that there is, and we are walking through life and encountering different perspectives. And it's just this divine menu that's allowing me to choose, right? Even me experiencing poverty or lack, right? The lack of money. I have several decisions I can make. I can decide to stay on that path and continue to experience lack and complain about it. I can decide, no, I'm going to fix myself so I don't have to experience that again. I can decide I'm going to fix it for myself and my family so they don't have to experience it for them anymore. I can go further. I can say I'm going to be extremely wealthy and no one in my bloodline, right? Some people go that far. No one in my bloodline. I can see the corporate world and I can say I'm going to do my best. I'm going to climb to the top. Choice. I'm going to say I'm going to check out. I'm going to go move off grid. I'm going to get enough outside of this. I'm going to move off grid. Cool. I don't want to manage nobody. I'm just going to do what I got to do and survive and have enough just to take care of my family and have peace. Choice. You see all of these things. And we think that we need to fix all those things. But here's the truth. A tough pill to swallow, of course. If you are a so-called empath, which I used to consider myself back in the day, right? That there truly is no good and bad out there. There's simply different perspectives of all that there is exploring itself. Everything is simply giving me an opportunity to choose. Choose what I want. Choose what I want to experience. Choose what I don't want to experience. Choose what I want to fix within myself. Choose what perspective I want to take of all that there is. I just get to select. That's it. This is all an illusion. But when we get too caught up in the illusion and we're thinking that it's all just real, well, of course there's suffering. Attachment is suffering. Attachment is suffering. All right? So here we go. All right? So control is the last veil before awakening. You lose everything you thought you were and find the one who never held the reins to begin with. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. One thing that pushed me, right, to even trading, because I told you, like, yeah, it was the money. But what clicked that made me profitable, okay, was releasing the attachment that I had to trading to lead me to money, to lead me to prosperity. Meaning, I just am prosperity. Trading is simply one portal where prosperity can flow, but there's infinite portals. Trading doesn't make or break me. I would be prosperity without it. I just am prosperity, right? Money flows through trading, but money flows through other things as well. The next trade doesn't make me profitable, win or lose. The next 10 trades, 100 trades, 1,000 trades doesn't make me prosperity at all. I am already that. Nothing can be added or taken away from it, right? And it was that mindset that allowed me to sit in front of that chart and say, whatever. I simply am going to execute because I'm already prospering. So hopefully that helps. All right. So number one, the addiction to control. The human mind is obsessed with control. The human mind is obsessed with control. Even being the quote unquote observer, right? We grasp to the control of that, right? That even becomes an ego thing. Oh, I just can't be angry. I just have to be the observer, right? So the human mind is obsessed with control. It controls time, people, plans, even spirituality, praying to manipulate God more effectively. I've been there until I realized that it's just me. There's nothing to manipulate. There's nothing to try to trust. I just am reality. God just is me. There's just no separation. Even my trying to trust something and then still saying that God is me, it made no sense. That was still me leaning into duality, right? So it controls time, people, plans, even spirituality, praying to manipulate God more effectively. We call it responsibility, but it's often fear wearing discipline's mask. Beautiful. We think if we stop controlling life, life will collapse. But the opposite is true. Only when the ego releases its grip does divine intelligence begin to move in perfect order. When you finally stop managing life, you discover it was never out of order, only out of your approval. That's it. Right? Life was fine this whole time. God has been handling itself this whole time. You've been handling it. Everything's been cool this whole time. This is when I say, give reality permission to unfold perfectly for you. Stop trying to control it and give it permission. Allow it to be what it is, knowing that you are who you are. And because you are who you are, reality must be what you are as well. It has to conform to you because it's the law. It's you. It's beyond law. It's just you. Right? Even when we talk about the law, that's still highlighting duality. And we had an interesting discussion where even to talk about unity consciousness, right? We still have to talk about it from this perspective of duality to allow the human mind to make sense of it. But even when I say trust the law, when scripture says trust the law, trust the Lord, right? That all that implies duality. Me saying I have to trust God, that still implies duality. It still implies another. When there is no other, there is only I. There's only I. Or there's only source. There's only I am. Let me put it like that. There's only I am. Right? There's only one. There's only unity. Okay? Cool. So number two, the illusion of effort. The illusion of effort. Effort is the ego's worship. Ego loves effort. It believes results are born from struggle. But all creation flows from assumption. Right? All creation flows from assumption, not struggle, not the exertion of energy, but assumption. My declaration of who I am, me deciding who I am. That's where all creation stems from. Right? So here's a Neville Goddard quote. Good old Neville. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you will be moved across a bridge of incidents that lead to its realization. Right? Beautiful. When you assume the state of already having your desire, you align with the frequency of its completion. Right? You know, we love to talk about frequencies, right? When you assume the state of already having your desire, you align with the frequency of its completion. Life, like a divine mirror, rearranges itself to reflect the consciousness you occupy. You don't need to know how the bridge will appear. You only need to stand in the inner conviction that it already exists. Every step, every encounter, every breath, every seeming coincidence becomes the invisible choreography of fulfillment unfolding through you. Okay, beautiful. To assume the feeling is to merge imagination with faith until it becomes fact. It is the death of waiting and the birth of embodiment. You no longer plead with the universe. You become the answered prayer, right? That is the shift. Becoming that answered prayer, that conviction, right? When I no longer, I am the proof. I am the answered prayer. I stand in the inner conviction, the inner knowing of who I am. The thoughts come and go. The emotions come and go, but I am. The circumstance looks like whatever, but I am. Every step is a declaration of I am. Every breath, right? All of it. Okay? So you no longer plead with the universe. You become the answered prayer. In that shift, life ceases to be a chase and becomes a revelation. The bridge does not appear because you seek. It appears because you are already on it. All right? When you stand in the center of reality as the wish fulfilled, okay? When you stand in that center of reality, all paths, what do? All paths show up because of your being, right? All paths show up because you decided who you are. Okay? My brother, who is this we that you're talking about? We can't call ourselves gods. You can only speak for you. You can't speak for we. Unless it's like a French word that you are speaking. Right? Landed with a different name today. All right. So the bridge does not appear because you seek. It appears because you are already on it, right? When you decide who you are, right? All of a sudden, the path is illuminated. The path doesn't show up because you are working towards the path, becoming the path. The path shows up when you decide that you are the path, right? I am the prosperity that I seek. I am the love that I seek. I am the wellspring of love. God dwells within me, right? So effort belongs to the doer. Assumption belongs to the creator. When you rest in the awareness that all is already done, your movement becomes inspired instead of forced. You no longer act to achieve, you act because being overflows into action. Okay? Being overflows into action. All right? So number 3, the observer and the doer, the inner split. And what if you don't know your path? That's the beauty of life, is that you're constantly finding it, right? You're constantly finding that path. Right? So in life, you're going to walk through reality, right? And you're constantly going to have situations that show up in your life, and they're going to give you this beautiful opportunity to choose. Choose who you want to be, right? You might have an experience with a lack of money, and now you choose that you want more, and that sends you down a path of what? Becoming something new, right? Choosing a new perspective of life, learning a new skill, whatever the case may be, right? This life, right? This life is this beautiful playground where all of these experiences, all of these things are planted around you, and you get the opportunity to become something. Don't think that life can't start until you ultimately find out what you want. You are God. You are the infiniteness, the vastness of God, always expanding, right? So to think that one day you're going to find something you want to do and all of a sudden the hunt will be over, right? Maybe, but probably not. Okay? I get we all have a soul, but I know I am not God. I am not capable of what God is capable of. That's fine, Hunter. Your perspective is perfect for you. That's perfectly fine. And is destiny real? Who has the final say-so on how anything unfolds in their life, right? Now, whether you go listen to a tarot card reader, whether you have a vivid dream where something shows up in that dream and it shows you that this is what you're going to experience in your life, who has the final say-so on it, right? Now, if a doctor tells you you have 3 months to live, who has final say-so on that? You get to decide, right? Right? If you have cancer, right, we see the placebo effect, the God is within you, the you are God effect, the placebo effect, where all of a sudden people miraculously heal themselves. What is this? All right. So the bottom line is that anything can tell you anything, but you get to decide. Fate, right? Fate or destiny is ultimately what you decide that you are. Okay? What you decide that you are. said I have fear of spending money. I get anxious and all right. When we start talking about things like that, right, and we talk about our prosperity, right, and we're like, okay, I have this fear of spending money and I get anxious and I hate this feeling. Why do you hate that feeling? Okay, right now, right, I'm sure that what you want is more money. Huh? I'm sure that you want more money. You want to be more comfortable with money. But who is the one that's condemning that anxiety? Who says that anxiety is bad? Who says that fear is bad? Who says that doubt or frustration or anger or any of those things is correct? Or not correct. But who says that they're negative or bad? Right? You are walking through life. And one of the things that constantly helped me to reframe my emotions was realizing that I'm going to feel emotions anytime I jump into a new experience. Okay? So when I first decided that I was prosperity and money started to come to me, all of a sudden I started seeing all these divine things happening. I still have fear and anxiety there on spending. Like, what if it goes away? Right? What if this money leaves me? What if I lose this money? But that was just what? That was just the body catching up to that internal truth. That was just me deciding who I was, and then my body just being used to a different reality. The fear and the anxiety, it's not a reason to stop. It doesn't stop anything. We just start identifying with the fear and anxiety and telling stories saying, okay, because I have anxiety, I can't get what I want. Because I have anxiety, it's a problem and it's leading me away from my desired reality. It's keeping money away. It's a blockage, this and that and that and this, right? So all of those things, okay, so all of those conditions that we place on being who we are, right? That is where the illusion is. Those are the things to pluck away. There's no problem with your anxiety, right? The problem is when we give it power, when we make it this demonic being and we say, oh, well, because I have anxiety, I cannot have this. I cannot have this fulfilled life. Because I have this fear or doubt, I cannot experience life to its fullest. That's absolutely not true. Your feelings are simply giving you they're just teaching you. They're showing you, right, what you believe in that moment, what you have been used to doing, right? I might have this, maybe I walk through life, right? And as I was going through life, money was difficult to come by when I was a child. And now all of a sudden, I still have that thought ingrained within me. Well, now that I have awareness of it, I can take the power away from that anxiety. I can say, okay, well, that's part of the past story, but it doesn't have to be my story moving forward. Okay? And is there anything that you can't manifest? You tell me. You tell me. But no. No, there's not. There's absolutely not. There's absolutely not. I'm gonna hang the paint. I'm gonna hang the paint soon, though, y'all. I'm gonna hang the paint soon. Let's see here. Yeah, Prize Media. Go on and ask away. Go on and ask away. I am quarantined in bad circumstances and can't control it. Are you 100% sure circumstances don't matter? Because I'm starting to worry. All right, Miss Spiritual Moolah. I want you to really think about that question. Okay? Am I 100% sure circumstances don't matter? Yes, I preach it. I live by it. That is my absolute truth. I know circumstances don't matter. It does not matter what I know. It does not matter what I am sure of. It only matters what you are sure of. You can read every success story. I can sit up here and I can swear on the Bible. I can pull out the Bible and put my hand on it, right? And say, I swear on the Bible that circumstances don't matter. That's my reality, right? Just like Hunter's reality is that we're not God. That's his reality, right? My reality is not going to convince you. Your reality is not going to convince me. The only thing that is going to convince you that circumstances don't matter is what? You making the absolute decision that they don't. You deciding that the God that you are is larger than anything that you see. Other than that, you're just constantly going to be looking outside for approval. That's it. Right? You're just going to constantly be looking for other people to prove it. And that is why, right, so many people struggle on this path and don't get what they want, is because they won't make the decision. They won't sit in the center of reality, sit on the throne of reality and decide, this is who I am. This is who I am no matter what. Right? Then you're trying to implicate the things that I'm saying into my life, and I'm having trouble doing so. Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and keep moving forward. Okay? You have a lifetime to do this. You have infinity to do this. Right? When it clicks, it clicks. Why I'm so passionate about this is because when it clicks, it clicks. You deserve the life that you want. Right? You deserve everything that you desire. Everything that you desire. And all of it is simply on the other side of a choice that you are already it. Okay? You are already it. Cool. All right. I honestly believe that, okay, whenever I say things like, I am God, right? I understand the pushback, but most of the pushback isn't coming from a place of understanding, right? It's coming from this basic level, like, you can't say that you're God because the Bible says this and God is in me and I'm not God and yada, yada, yada. And because I don't believe I'm God, you can't be God, and it's blasphemous. It is not truly listening to the full picture of what I'm saying. All right? Sure, this is a declaration of a belief, absolutely. But more than that, this is a lifestyle. Okay? It's a way to perceive reality, meaning I am not saying it as a way to exalt myself above anyone. Right? To exalt myself over some separate creator that you believe is out there. Okay? What this is meant to say, right? Because I want y'all to be clear, right? What this is meant to say is that everything is God. God is the fabric of reality, right? God is everything. Nothing is outside of God. But God can also not be divided. If God is omnipresent everywhere and everything all at once, God cannot be divided. So I can't be a fragment. God cannot just be fragmented, right? Fragmented in me, fragmented in you. The fullness of God is within me, and every cell within me contains the fullness of God. Everything, you contain the fullness of God. Everything contains the fullness of God. The air between us contains the fullness of God. It's all God. So what this is truly saying is that what? This is a path of humility. When I see you, I know that I am communicating with God. When I think of you, I am thinking of God. When I'm sharing time with you, I'm sharing time with God. Right? When I go in and think, the words that I speak are the expression of God. Right? It's a path of absolute reverence. Right? It's a path of surrendering the small self. Right? Anything other than that is blasphemy. It's saying that God could make something that is imperfect. God can make something that is impure, that is less than holy, less than complete, less than divine, less than perfect. That the infinite could make something that's less than infinite. Right? So that is my belief. It's not to say that, I'm greater or anyone smaller, right? Because we get into this human concept of blasphemy because we as people, we want to worship something. We want something to be greater than us to lead us, right? That's why we look for mentors and teachers and pastors and priests and saviors and all kinds of things. When the Savior has been us the whole time, okay? The Savior has been us the whole time. Cool. And I hear you, Hunter, but you can't change up now like that now. You were just yelling in all caps about how everybody is not God, and now you're saying, hey, don't judge me, y'all. So come on now. Come on, brother. Don't start doing that. All right. So the illusion of control is sustained by the idea that there's a you observing and a you doing, right? That's the illusion of control. That there is a you observing and a you doing, all right? The observer says, I'm watching life unfold. The doer says, I must make it unfold correctly, right? These two different pieces, okay? So, but both are fragments of the same dream. There is no division between watcher and actor when consciousness fully awakens. There is only one eternal movement playing all roles simultaneously. Right? That great truth that all these mystics, all these spiritual teachers are leaning towards and pushing you towards. That realization that there is only one. There's only unity. There is no separation. Right? The separation, that is where the suffering comes from. All right? So let's break this down. Both the watcher and the actor are fragments of the same dream, because the very idea of separation is itself a dream. The mind creates a split, one part watching, another doing, so it can keep the illusion of self intact. But when consciousness awakens, it realizes the observer and the observed are not two. They are one continuum of awareness. The eye that thinks it is separate from what it sees is only a thought passing through the same space it's trying to describe. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? The eye that thinks it is separate, that thought that pops up that thinks it is separate from what it sees, is only a thought passing through the same space it's trying to describe. In this moment, a thought pops up in the same space that it's trying to describe. It's just passing through. It in itself is just passing through, all right? So when the false duality collapses, experience becomes seamless. There's no longer an inner self trying to manage an outer world. No inner narrator analyzing each move. Life simply happens without commentary. You find yourself speaking, walking, breathing, creating, yet there's no sense of personal effort, no need to decide or control. Everything moves with the grace of inevitability, as if existence is breathing itself through you, because it is. Because it is, right? This realization is the end of striving for enlightenment, because even the seeker is seen as part of the same divine movement. The actor doesn't need to watch himself act. He is the act. The witness doesn't need to observe. It is the seeing. All roles, all appearances, all identities dissolve into one eternal current of being. The dream waking up to itself, realizing there was never anyone dreaming at all. Boom. There was never anyone dreaming. There was simply the all, right? Having an experience in the moment of the dream. Oh, it's beautiful, right? It's almost too profound to truly explain, right? You have to explain it in this long ass fucking parable to even get to the core, to get to that center of unity, right? You are not behind the moment or ahead of it. You are the moment itself, unfolding perfectly as it is. Next part, right? So surrender is not giving up, it's giving in. To surrender doesn't mean to abandon responsibility. It means to recognize you are never separate from the source that orchestrates everything. Beautiful. You are never separate from the source that orchestrates everything. When you give in to the flow of divine will, the body still moves, words still come, actions still happen, but the sense of I am doing this disappears. What remains is effortless precision. Life becomes a spontaneous dance rather than a project to be managed. And it's a document on YouTube. I'll upload the document to YouTube after each discussion, right? So it's all for you. It has everything on here, the outline, the quotes, the reflection questions, the affirmations, the letters, everything that we do. It's all to YouTube, so it's all for you. But my bad, I was probably leaning far away from the phone. So my bad. All right. So here's another quote from the Tao Te Ching, right? The sage does not act, yet nothing is left undone. Nothing is left undone, right? Super organized. Yeah, super organized, right? This ancient teaching speaks to the paradox of divine effortless action. The sage, right? The mystic lives in harmony with the Tao, with the spirit, the invisible order beneath all things, and therefore has no need to interfere with the flow of life, right? Life simply is what it is. Let life be what it is. Allow God to be what it is, knowing that it's perfect. It's all unfolding from you anyway. There's nothing to force or control out there. There's simply me sitting in the center of reality as all that there is, deciding what? Deciding who I am, deciding what perspective I'm going to take of myself, which is all that there is. So when we say, right, take a perspective of all that there is, you're simply taking a perspective of yourself. It's all self. Okay? It's all self. All right? So their actions are not driven by ego, ambition, or anxiety, but arise naturally from alignment with what is. Because they do not force outcomes, their movements are precise, their timing perfect, like a river carving stone without effort. The sage allows life's intelligence to move through them, and in that allowing, everything essential is accomplished. Beautiful. Okay? Beautiful. All right. That's fine though. That's fine though, Hunter. Like, it's okay to feel that it's disrespectful, right? It's all right. I'm not really here to convert you, okay? But my explanation, right? Like, every discussion that we have is simply an expression or an explanation of that unity, right? Change your mind, right? That's a big task, my brother. That's a big task, right? I'm not really up here to change anybody's mind. I'm simply giving my perspective, and if you're aligned to that perspective, hopefully it can help you, right? But my perspective is this. God is everything. God is all that there is, okay? Nothing is outside of God, okay? Nothing is outside of God. Therefore, I cannot be outside of God. This is all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm above anyone. I'm not above you, right? You are just as divine as me. We are reflections of one another, right? I'm not saying that I'm above God. There is no me to be above God. There is no separation, right? Everything, right? Every breath that I inhale is the fullness of God. Me sitting here is the fullness of God. Whether I feel worthy or not, I am still the fullness of God expressing itself through what? Through this vessel that I call myself, right? We are all one, yes. However, God cannot be divided and fragmented. So wherever one of us is, the fullness of God is there. So I get where you're going, right? It's going to be a gotcha moment. So we are just one. We're fragments. No. We are all one, yes, but the fullness of God is within everyone. The fullness of God is within every cell in my body. It's within every cell in your body. Every breath that you take is the fullness of God. It is all the fullness of God. God is everywhere and everything all at once. It's not divided, right? There cannot be a fragment here and a fragment there. You are all the wholeness of God, right? So this is my perspective. Right? It's my perspective. You don't have to take that perspective, but you can still have the life that you desire, right? This isn't about me trying to convert anyone to believing what I believe spiritually. I wrap everything in a spiritual package because I'm a spiritual guy, because this is what helped me. This is what changed my life, right? But the core of the message is about what? It's about you getting the life that you desire by deciding who you are, okay? Because a lot of y'all come up here and you're like, Alex, no, I'm not God. You still get the life of your dreams. Don't matter to me, right? We're not here running a church, okay? We just trying to get you the shit that you want in this life, right? I just happen to speak of it from the perspective of unity consciousness. So we'll take it like 2 or 3 lives and we'll talk specifically about manifesting, how to handle circumstances, how to get your SP, how to get the money. And then we dive into topics like this where it just talks about unity and oneness and consciousness. It gets to the core of what I like to talk about, right? Cool. All right. Do I have any limiting beliefs? I'm sure I do. I'm sure I do. I confront my limiting beliefs, right? Yeah, I do. Whenever I see y'all talking about SPs, y'all trigger some of my limiting beliefs. These motherfuckers always want to talk about some goddamn SPs. That's a limiting belief that I have. But I'm working through it. Y'all are helping me work through it. We're going to get there. All right? So here we go. The sage does not act, yet nothing is left undone. All right. So to not act does not mean to remain idle. It means to act without resistance, to move without self-conscious will, thinking that it's me doing something to try to become something. How can you become what you already are? How can you become what you already are? Okay? When the separate doer disappears, when that small I disappears, right? All action becomes pure spontaneity. The sage is not motivated by desire or fear, but by the natural unfolding of the present moment. That book that the goddess came in here and recommended yesterday, the Stockdale Paradox. Has anybody read this book, The Stockdale Paradox? So yesterday someone recommended this book. If you're on here, say it. Say your name. Say your name, say your name. But they recommended this book, so we read an excerpt. So basically it was about this gentleman who was a prisoner of war, right? He was tortured for years, right? And he was simply outlining the mindset that allowed him to get to the other side. And his mindset was simply be brutally honest about whatever situation is in your face. Be brutally honest about it, but still also have that conviction and knowing of what you want, that end goal. And one of the things that they asked him, right, when they were interviewing him, they said, okay, was there a common theme that you saw in the people that didn't make it? And he said, optimists. And so when you hear that, you might be like, optimists? But you just said, stay in the knowing of what you want, right? He said, no. Well, the optimists, they would think, okay, well, by Thanksgiving, we'll be out. And then Thanksgiving will come and pass. And they would say, well, by Christmas, we will be out. And Christmas would come and pass. And they would say by this day, and that day would come and pass. And then Thanksgiving would come again. And then they would die of a broken heart. They would give up. What a metaphysical lesson this is. He also said, he said, I understood the reality that I was in, but I knew I would make it out. And this would be this is what he said, right? He said, this would be a defining moment in my life that I would not trade. In the middle of this shitty situation, he knew this is going to be a defining moment in my life that I would not trade, that looking back on it, I would not trade it. He's saying that in the middle of it, right? In the middle of the lack, he's saying, I am prosperity. And I know that this situation is just going to be a defining moment that when I'm looking back as prosperity, when it's all materialized in my life, I would not trade this moment that I'm in. Damn. Talk about cold-blooded. Talk about metaphysical. I don't remember who the author was, but it's called the Stockdale Paradox. Stockdale is Stockdale, and then paradox, Paradox. But I want you to think about that mindset, right? Sitting in the middle of the lack of love or the lack of prosperity, right? We have these things in our life that we think we're manifested from. And, unfortunately, I did see kind of a comment from a brother the other day. Maybe it was a goddess, I don't know. But it was kind of this cry for help, right? Like, I will be just happy when one of y'all manifesting creators finally just gives it to me straight. What do I have to do? In one video, you said, don't doubt. In the next one, you're saying I'm not getting what I want because I doubt it. Which one is it? Can you just be straight up? A lot of us are going through situations that are more difficult than just a person. None of this makes sense in that deeper path. All right, so I responded, of course. But why that stood out to me is because I've been there. I've been there going through like homelessness, right? And I'm looking at people and they're talking about specific people and it just made me sick. Not because I was angry at them per se, right? They simply became the vessel for me to point my self-hatred at. Right? I simply experienced the disgust I had for myself through them. But what was the truth? I thought that I just had a terrible hand. I had a shitty hand. Hey, damn. You're sitting here worried about a person? And I'm worried about the next meal? And you're telling me to feel it real and be regulated with my nervous system? What kind of arrogant shit is that? I get it, right? I get it. What is the deeper truth in this? What's the deeper truth in this message? Okay? It's not about the person or the money. It's about that divine remembrance that none of that shit was lost. And oftentimes when we are sitting in these low positions and we can finally take the perspective that, okay, I am it. Not because I can be in this situation of lack with the eviction notices and the car repo. Not that I can be in these situations of lack, right? And I can feel like my nervous system is regulated and I feel safe to receive. No, but because I come into this divine remembrance that, look, I know that I am God. I know that I'm God. I know that the prosperity I seek is me. And I know that this moment that I'm in right now will be a defining moment in my life. I will look back at it and I will be proud to say that I made it through this. This will be a defining moment and I would not trade it. And now looking back at when I was sitting in that damn apartment and every moment I thought that the constable was going to come evict my ass. When I was on the street, when I was in the car, when my shit was getting repoed. All of those times where I decided to find who I was, to decide who, not find, there was nothing to find, to decide who I was. All of that foundation now gives me the courage to look at reality and say, even if I don't see it, it is here. Even if I don't see it, it is here. Right? We constantly are looking and searching for this Savior. When the Savior is us the whole time, when it's our decision, you are the fullness of God just expressing itself, experiencing itself. Everything that you need, you were born with. You are already everything that you desire to be. Okay? Cool. Let me see, y'all. Let me read this full thing. I have co-founder. We're doing SMM. We have a pretty good system. Self-certain. We have a hard time to scale. We are 19. We ever read and see. But something doesn't click for us. Well, are you looking for something to click, or are you going to decide that you are already the prosperity that you seek? That's the same thing that I was doing, right? And I spent years doing that, constantly seeking and searching and journeying and meditating and fasting and retaining and trying to do all of these things to increase my closeness with God, when the separation from God was just an illusion that I was creating. The it wasn't clicking was just the illusion that I was creating. I just wouldn't decide that I was already everything I decided to be. I constantly was thinking the next book, the next meditation, the next affirmation, the next lecture, the next video, the next this, the next that. When my reality was just waiting on me to decide. And when I was constantly looking for more, reality just continued to give me out picturings of myself that continued to confirm that I needed more. It was all me. I sit at the center of reality, right? You sit in the center of reality, needing nothing, containing everything, yet you are still searching for things outside of you. That's the only issue. Yes, get the information, seek the information, right? Learn more, read the books, right? But it's always going to come to a decision. It doesn't matter how many success stories you hear, how many different lectures you listen to, how many books you read. Without making that choice, it will simply be information. Because when they say knowledge is power, that's not the truth, right? The application of it is power, right? The choice is the power. The choice to use it is power. Knowledge is just knowledge, just information. Right? But your decision to actually make the choice, I am already it, boom, that right there is where your power is. I have made the choice and this is who I am. And then is there a difference between trusting the unfolding because your back is against the wall and you have no other options but to trust, versus outright trusting because you know? Trusting is trusting. Knowing is knowing. Knowing is knowing. Okay, knowing is knowing. There's no difference. There's no difference. Whether it's a back against the wall, no back against the wall, whether you want to make it hard, easy, don't care, right? I would implore you to make it easy, but a decision is a decision. A knowing is a knowing. Your knowing is the knowing, okay? So I'm scared to accept it. Exactly. What I am the Solace asked. It's a perfect question for it, right? And how did I apply my knowledge of power and my divine self to my day trading or my wealth? Indirectly, those are just things that I do, right? So when I think of applying this power or knowledge into things, that would imply that the power is outside of me. That would imply that I have to manipulate something outside of me to receive my desired results when I don't. All right? Trading is just one of infinite tools. I am prosperity. Therefore, if I had never touched the charts, I would still be just as prosperous. Money would have to find a way to get to me anyway, because I just am it. I just am it. Right? So trading, it doesn't define me at all. If I stopped trading right now, if the market closed forever, money would still flow to me because I am the prosperity. What does it allow me to do? I just enjoy it. I enjoy trading. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the mental game of it. It's cool. It's fun. When I was trying to manifest through the market, I was making large donations. I just put it like that. I was funneling large amounts of money into the market. They love to see me place a trade. Right? They love to see me coming because they knew that I was finna give them a donation. Like, oh, here he comes, our favorite customer coming to lose it all, right? But now when I sit at the charts, I am prosperity. I'm not judging myself based on the next trade. The next trade doesn't matter. The next 100 trades doesn't matter. When I was thinking I am prosperity and I went into the market and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stick with my plan. But secretly, I was basing the next trade on my prosperity. And so I would hold too long. I would let go of trades too early. I would hold too long. I found myself being able to pick the bottom and the top of the market with absolute precision, except I was going in the wrong way. I was buying at the high of the day and I was selling at the fucking low of the day. I was able to do this with absolute precision because I was the person who was depending on the market to give me prosperity. I was making it conditional. But I already am prosperity. So if I'm already prosperity, there's nothing to do here. I simply just execute. I simply get involved in the process, right? Trading becomes a meditation. A lot of people say trading is stressful. It's a lot of decisions. Not for me, it's fun. It's a challenge, right? I go in there for a couple hours a day. I watch the market. I see how it moves. It speaks to me. I speak to it. The candle might hit my area of interest. I might kiss the chart. Mwah. Reverse. And now the candle reverses for me. I get in, I win, I lose. It does not matter. I leave. It's simply a process that I do. It's simply something that I do. But it's not who I am. I am prosperity. Trading is just trading. Right? None of it is conditional. Okay, none of that is conditional. There's no conditions on my prosperity at all. Right? If I needed money, if I need money, money will show up. It has to, because that's my identity. It doesn't matter if I was employed, unemployed. It doesn't matter if we had a bank holiday. It doesn't matter if we had a black swan event and the markets closed for a week, a month, 2 months. Money would somehow find its way into my bank account because I am it. Because I am the prosperity. It has nothing to do with what I do. It's who I am. What I do happens naturally. I do the things I like. I write because I like. I do these lives because I like. I don't focus on anything. I just am. I just know who I am. And now I just do the next best things. When I want to plan and scale my business, I do that. Why? Because I want to do this shit. And when I catch myself thinking, oh, I have to do this so I can make money, I realize, well, that desire to make more money, I simply accept that's the truth of me now. I am making more. I have more. And now I continue to do or not do, but I do it from a position of power. I don't move from a position of lack. I don't move from a position of loss, right? Love cannot leave me because I am the center of love. I'm the wellspring of love, right? If a woman walks out of my life, two more are going to come skipping and hopping and jumping and back flipping and clapping ass back into my life. That's just who I am. That's just what my reality is, right? If I drop $100 bill, best believe $200 bills are going to magically show up somehow, some way. It's just my identity, right? Now, does this mean I don't doubt or fear or have anxiety sometimes? Absolutely not. I still feel those feelings. I'm still normal. I'm still a human being, okay? Well, I'm God, but I'm still having this human being experience, right? So I honor my divinity and my humanity. I honor the divinity by knowing who I am. I honor my humanity by experiencing it. Yes, I have feelings, but I'm not those feelings. But I don't have to force them away. I don't have to feel better to get anything. I simply sit in the knowing of who I am and feel whatever, think whatever, but I know who I am, right? It's that conviction. I don't take my thoughts, my mind serious. It just thinks. If right now you put on a song right now, right? Put on a song and listen to that song 5 times, and you're going to walk around and that song's just going to be in your mind. You're not your mind. It just thinks. Thoughts seemingly show up and leave out of nowhere. That's not you. You are the one behind it observing. Okay? You are the one behind all that observing. Cool. So that brought us to, I got you. So all of the lives are on YouTube. So if you can't catch them on TikTok or Instagram, you can always jump over to YouTube. All right? It's all you. They're all for you. Okay? So this led to the quote that we started with. The quote that we started with was what? You stop trying to trust God. I know. Let that one sit for a second. Stop trying to trust God. What do you mean? All right, hear me out. You stop trying to trust God because you realize you were never apart from God to begin with. It's a profound statement, right? Sometimes we have to... I know Sanji came up here yesterday and was like, it just sounds like you speak in parables sometimes, right? That's a very clear way of saying it. You stop trying to trust God because you realize you were never apart from God to begin with. So me trusting God is still implying separation. Whether that's right or wrong, right? That's up to you to decide. Okay? But when we come to the oneness, the unity, right? God is, right? Exactly. God just is. Spirit is, right? Yeah. There is no me and God. There just is. Like there just is God. There is just all that there is. Me trusting in God, putting my faith in another. All of that is the illusion. Okay? All of that is the illusion. So number 5. Oh, that was a crazy way for my face to get frozen. All right. So number 5, when the river stops fighting the current. When the river stops fighting the current. All right. Every moment of resistance is a declaration of separation. Every moment of resistance is a declaration of separation. When you fight what is, you are fighting God. Inhale that for a second. It's all God. God just is. Everything is God, right? When I fight against what is, I am fighting God. Resist nothing because it's all God. Does that make sense? Resist nothing because it's all God. To resist anything is to resist God. To resist anything is to resist God, all right? When you surrender, you discover that even the current of resistance was part of the divine flow. If all that there is all that there is, and there are infinite paths, even the paths of resistance are passed back to the infinite. It's all perfect. Life has never required your control, just your consent. Reality is just waiting for your permission to say, okay, be perfect for me. Unfold perfectly. Whatever it is out there, it is what it is. I am that I am. Even your past was not your mistake. It was divine choreography teaching you to stop paddling against your own reflection. Beautiful. All right. All right. So this is the last section I'm going to do. Then we're going to do the reflection questions, the love letter, and we're going to do an adoration instead of affirmations. Okay. So here we go. The freedom beyond choice. When the illusion of control dissolves, choice itself becomes play. I just don't feel like that was profound enough. Let me say it again. I don't feel like you heard me. When the illusion of control dissolves, when you stop believing that you can control anything, choice itself becomes play. You realize that all paths lead to the same destination because all are made of the same consciousness. There is only God. There is only one. There's only unity. There's only all that there is. So the same substance that is unfolding from me, that is all that there is the same substance that is all that there is. Let me pause for a second. I'm going to say it in a different way. The same substance that makes up the bank account that you don't like is the same substance that makes up the bank account or rearranges to the bank account that you do like. It's all the same. Get out of the way. Stop resisting and clinging to a situation you don't like and simply decide who you are and allow reality to do what it does. Allow God to do what it does. Allow yourself to do what it does. Okay? Whether you choose coffee or tea, success or failure, silence or song, it's all God tasting itself through contrast. Freedom is not having infinite options. Freedom is seeing that every option was already divine. Okay? It's already divine. So Psalm 46:10, right? Be still and know that I am God. One of my favorite translations is cease striving and know that I am God. Cease striving and know that I am God. All right, so here we go. To be still means to cease identifying with the noise of thoughts, emotion, and striving. To stop trying to add to what already is. You can't add to God. You can't become what you already are. Or you can't add or subtract from infinity, from all that there is. Okay? In stillness, the mind's constant commentary falls silent. And the deeper truth of being is unveiled. You are asked not to seek God through movement, but to remember God through stillness, presence. The divine does not enter through effort. It is revealed in the quiet recognition that there was never any distance to close. This is the divine realization. There is no thought or emotion that can get me closer to God. There's also no thought or emotion that could get me further from God. So if that is the truth, then it makes no sense to cling to anything. The situation just is what it is, but I am God. But I am that I am. All right? To know that I am God is to awaken from the illusion of separation. The I am that speaks within you is the same essence that spoke creation into existence. When you rest deeply enough in awareness, you find that the observer, the breath, and the stillness itself are all made of the same substance, consciousness. This isn't some kind of intellectual knowing, right? This is a decision, a choice. It's experiential knowing, right? This is a declaration of who I am, right? There is no longer you and God, prayer and answer, seeking and finding. Only the silent certainty of being remains. The world continues to move, but the center within you is unmoved. This is the still point of eternity, where heaven is not reached but remembered. Right? I'm not striving for my desires. I'm remembering I'm already it. Okay? I'm not becoming anything. I can't become what I already am. I'm already all that there is. Okay? I'm already all that there is. Okay? Cool. In claiming that there is no evil, well, I would say that that's a human judgment. Even if we sit here and we say, well, there's some things that we should and should not do. That in itself is also one perspective of me or you, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm saying all that there is simply all that there is. Once we start attaching labels like good or evil, right, we start to split things. We start to split God into these rival camps. Start to treat God like Star Wars, right? You got the Jedi and the Sith, and they're fighting against each other in some battle on earth, but there's not that. There's simply our illusion of separation from God. There's only God. There's only unity. There's only oneness, right? And if God is all that there is, and there's infinite paths and creation is done, then what do we expect not to see? We experience contrast, different aspects of all that there is. Of course, we're going to judge certain things as right and wrong, because that's just part of the duality. That's part of us living as having this human experience. But evil in itself is always going to be up to perspective. Even if I say that, no, these things are absolutely evil, that's still just a perspective, right? There's only all that there is. Okay? So, reflection questions. All right? So number one, what situations trigger your need to control outcomes? What situations? Okay. If we are God's, why did God say we are children of God? Because we have to explain oneness from the lens of duality, right? It's the same way that Jesus made concessions, right? He said, I and the Father are one, but the Father is greater than I. But the church says, no, he's all the way God. And other people say he was a mystic, right? What is this highlighting? He was just talking about unity, oneness, right? So we have all of these. So we've had several mystics that preach the same teachings as Jesus, and they all talk about oneness and unity, right? So we would lose traction in this debate because I don't believe that Jesus is God, right? I don't believe that Jesus is God. So we wouldn't even be on the same page with that conversation. I don't believe that Jesus came down here to die for our sins. I believe that he was killed by the church because he was telling them to not do things like, have blood sacrifices and things like that. And he was very anti-church and anti-establishment. Therefore, he was killed. Right? Needing the money when you don't have, what are you doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong, except for your belief that you're doing something wrong. Right? And no, the Bible's not lies. It's just misinterpreted. Most Christianity isn't even following Jesus. It's following Paul anyway. Right. So, the Bible's not lying. But when you read it literally, of course, there's all kinds of things in there that we don't do, right? Right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, people will sit here and say blasphemy, but in the Bible, it says you stone somebody. We don't have people getting stoned anymore. We don't have a lot of things that are in Scripture. So it's like if I say something in Scripture, somebody will be like, don't cherry pick it. But who isn't? Who the fuck isn't cherry picking from Scripture, right? So it's all, we all are simply looking through this big ass book with perspective. And how can the infinite be confined to one historical interpretation anywhere, right? Anyways, right? If you think of the nature of the infinite is expressed and worshiped and praised through multiple cultures, through so many different cultures. And all these cultures have this closeness to the divinity. Like, one historical figure is not the key or the gate to the infinite. That is an absolutely ridiculous concept, and that concept comes purely from brainwashing. We were born into a belief that this one person is the way. And if you talk to all people across these religions, they all think that every single other religion is absolutely obnoxious and ridiculous, except for theirs. Right? So it's like we all have these compartmentalized beliefs about it. I just so happen to think that the concept of, God, which is pure spirit coming down and impregnating some woman is a ridiculous fairy tale. And a lot of that was written in a lot later, right? Jesus isn't even from Nazareth. There's no place called Nazareth. There is no Nazareth, right? Jesus was a Nazarene, right? Which was a faith that was against the mainstream church at that time. And so he was killed off. So a lot of the things that even people say when they say, oh, I'm for the Bible, they're not even going and doing the history on it. They're just repeating things that they have heard somebody else say in church. So this is when, like, all of those arguments, they start falling apart, because it's like, Are you telling me these things because you know these things? Are you telling me these things because you heard somebody else say them and you've been hearing them for the last 20, 30 years? Or is this from a research perspective? Typically, it's not from a research perspective. All right? God didn't say, so God doesn't speak. God is spirit. God didn't write the Bible. So even when we say things like God says, read the word, God said, Jesus said, let's be clear. We're not even saying what God said when we talk about the Bible. God didn't say any of that. These were men that sat around and wrote that, just like every other spiritual text. It's men interpreting. It's men interpreting the infinite. God did not send his son down here to die for our sins. God didn't send his son down here to die for himself, right? Because that's essentially the story, is that God created unperfect beings, which is blasphemy to say that, because the infinite is perfection. The infinite can't create imperfection. So God creates imperfect beings and then knows that they're going to do wrong and sends his son to die for them in this brutal way. And then says the only way to get to me, even though I created all of y'all, is to come through them. Like, this creator doesn't even sound worthy of worship. Like, what is, like, it's a fairy tale. God is love. God is not this vengeful being that needs this blood sacrifice, this being of blood sacrifice and torture. That's not the God that I'm discussing. Okay? Cool. So anyways, before I get off track, I know I can rant for a while. So number 2, do you confuse discipline with fear? Do we confuse discipline with fear? Right. Discipline with fear. Right. Number 3, what would your life look like if you trusted that everything unfolds for your highest good? What would your life look like right now? Who would you be if you trusted that everything unfolds for your highest good? Right? Maybe you would simply allow the circumstances to be whatever. Okay? You allow things to be whatever. Right? And then do you confuse discipline with fear? The need to do things, right? So trying to act holy, I definitely should have explained this more, all right? So do you confuse you doing a lot of things, right? Do you believe that doing a lot of things is going to get you closer to God? All right. Are you saying, oh, I'm just doing these things because, this is who I am? Or are you doing all of these things because you believe that there's some kind of treasure chest down the road and eventually you will be rewarded and praised for your doing, instead of knowing that right now you're already it? Okay? You're already it. Cool. And then number 4. Well, he said that because he knew the church was going to kill him, duh. Because he knew that the church was going to kill him. Because that's the type of things, like, if I say that I'm God, right, think about all the things that people throughout history have came out and said, I am God, and have gotten killed. Right? It's not a prophecy. That has nothing to do with prophecy. That was just the nature of the times he was in. All right. Number 4, who would you be if you stopped trying to be? How you know it was written before? Because you wrote it in the book. You read it in the book. Who would you be if you stopped trying to be? Who would you be if you stopped trying to be? The same book that wrote about Jesus said it was written before. That's not a compelling argument right there. That's not a compelling argument at all. All right, so here we go. Here is the letter. All right. Here's the love letter to yourself. That's a good question, brother. That's a great question. So we have to be 100% sure that we are already the property that we are seeking for. And we have to be 100% certain. When you say you experience what you are, does that mean just now? Saying something like, I'm a multi-millionaire, everything is done? Yes. Yes. Right? So let's break this down. We have to be 100% sure that we are already the prosperity that we are seeking for. Yes. Absolutely. Now, when we first hear this, right, we have to be 100% sure. You might start thinking, okay, 100% sure means I cannot have any doubt. I cannot have any fear. I cannot have any anxiety. That's not what it means. What it means is right now, because you have the desire, you get to decide who you are. You are it right now. Right? You're it right now. Now, the mind will still have, things will still come up, right? Doubt, worry. That voice will say, you're really not this person that you say you are. All of those things are fine. It's about, I don't need to identify with the mind anymore. I just am it. I don't have to take those thoughts seriously anymore because I've already decided. It's about me not taking everything that I think and see and feel seriously. They just rise and fall. Anything that rises and falls, it's not me. I don't base my identity on a feeling. So right now, I might, be motivated. Okay, you might start doing some work. You and your business partner, you might start doing some work, and you might decide right now we're millionaires, and you have this dopamine hit, and you build that identity on excitement. What I'm saying is, don't build the identity on something unstable like a feeling. Just build it on the truth of who you are. Right? My name is Alex, and because my name is Alex, I am prosperity. That's it. Right? Just like my name doesn't change if I'm happy or sad, neither does me being prosperity. No matter what the situation looks like, prosperity is just me, right? It's getting to a point where you don't allow your feelings and your thoughts to take away from who you are. And even if you forget for a second, you can remind yourself of who you are, right? And you can keep going. And then, oops, my bad, y'all. Let me reopen this TikTok. My bad. My bad. Phone died. Per usual. Yeah, but anyways, so I don't pause. So, my bad, y'all, the phone died. So, yes, I don't build that foundation on something fragile, right? Like emotions. My bad, phone died, y'all. My bad, sorry about that. Y'all know my phone died, though, so apologize. You are who you are, right? When you have this desire, it becomes who you are, just like your name is who you are. And so now your thoughts and your emotions, yes, those things come and you might have doubts, but don't confuse, right? Doubt is not a determining factor of your manifestation, of you having the life that you desire. It's already yours. Doubt is just a feeling. You get to decide who you are through that feeling, after that feeling, within that feeling, whatever the case may be. You get to constantly remind yourself and remember it's already done. That's it. All right. So when I say 100% sure, that's what I mean. Yeah, you're 100% sure. But that does not mean you won't have fear, anxiety, or feelings, or whatever the case may be. Even thoughts show up. Okay. It just means that you decide that you are who you say you are, no matter what. Yeah, my bad, y'all. Let me charge my. And then, do you receive what you want in months, weeks, days, hours, or minutes after you desire it? It depends. The actual manifestation is instant, though. You're already it. The reason why it's taken time in physical reality is because you won't accept that the manifestation is done, because you're already the identity. It's not about getting anything out there. It's about realizing you are the identity through which everything flows through anyway. I'm not plugging shit in. I ain't plugging shit in, all right? This one still got a lot, though. This one still got 90%, so we cool. We cool. Unless y'all get up here and y'all start crying about y'all boo-hooing about your specific people. Well, the other day, I saw him with another woman and, my bad. Oh, shit. I shut y'all asses up. Talking all that shit over there. But it's not about time, right? It's about you. Are you basing your manifestation on the external world, or are you basing it on you? Y'all keep talking shit like that, huh? I was gonna upgrade the Wi-Fi the other day, but they just dug the fiber, but it's just not available yet. Once it's available, I got you. But until then, shut y'all asses up. All right, get this lesson. Leave me alone. All right, so here we go. I got a love letter to y'all after I just cussed at y'all. I got a love letter for y'all. All right, here we go. Here we go. I'm finna end this shit on TikTok and just keep going on YouTube. All right, here we go. My beloved self, you have tried so hard for so long. I'm glad my Wi-Fi sucks, honestly. Matter of fact, McDonald's yeah, y'all are funny. All right, here we go. Don't worry, I'm gonna get on y'all ass a little bit later. But right now, I'm feeling loving. My beloved self. Nah, Hunter's still here. You think he disappeared, huh? He just waiting for me to say so. The moment I say I am God, here he come. He can't fool me. He can't fool me. Luckily, you got it. It's worth it. Ooh. All right. So, my beloved self, you have tried so hard for so long. You've carried the weight of the world on your shoulders, believing it was your job to make everything right, to fix, to plan, to hold it all together. You've worn exhaustion like armor, calling it strength. But you were never meant to control the tides. You were meant to remember you are the ocean. The rise and fall, the ebb and flow, all of it moves through you and not against you. You can rest now. The current knows where to carry you. Let go, because you finally seen the truth. There was never a you holding the reins. Life has been happening through you, beautifully, perfectly, even in the moments you called chaos. Every closed door was grace in disguise. Every delay was divine choreography. Every collapse was a quiet initiation into trust. The universe has never asked you to figure it out, only to open your heart wide enough to feel it unfolding. Breathe deeply, my love. You are safe in the unknown. The hands that shaped galaxies are the same hands guiding your path. When fear whispers, what if it doesn't work out? Let your soul reply, it already has. Stop fighting the river and let it show you where it was always leading. The one who tried to control life is dissolving, and what's left is peace itself, glowing in the center of your being. You have not lost control. you have simply found God, right? I am that I am, right? No matter what. I am that I am, no matter what. All right, so here's the adoration. All right, here we go. I adore the current that carries me where I belong. I adore the current that carries me where I belong. The invisible hand that paints the stars and guides my steps. I adore the stillness that moves mountains without moving at all. I adore the wheel that is not mine, but has always been me. I no longer strive, I allow. I no longer plan, I perceive. I no longer control, I create simply by being. For I am not the doer, I am the done. Right? I am that I am, right? No matter what. Cool. All right, so that's what it was for today. I'm going to let this phone charge for a little bit, and I'm going to jump back on this one because the connection's just better. But, yeah, if y'all have questions, if y'all want to join, let me know. Let's talk. All right, let's talk. Yeah, it's mine. You can get the document on YouTube. So I upload the documents on YouTube, and you get them. You can have them. They're all for you. They are all for you. And do I have some kind of exercise that I'm doing to remind myself that I'm already my desire and some great knowledge that I have? No. But one thing that I did do in the beginning of this journey was I actually meditated on accepting that I was already it. For instance, you are prosperity, right? Now, you might meditate in the morning. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But the next time you have free time, just sit down wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, anxiety, fear, doubt, happiness, whatever. I want you to just decide right now, okay, I am prosperity, unconditionally. Okay? And now you remind yourself, whatever feeling comes up, that no, I am still prosperity no matter what. Whatever thought, the thought might say, no, you aren't. What about your bank account? And you remind yourself you are it. So it's an exercise of you just becoming aware of what happens when you decide, of any kind of limitations that show up and simply removing them and reminding yourself that you are it no matter what, right? Like, start playing with it. Okay, well, now what other limitations do I have? This is one of the things that started to come up even in the beginning of the trading journey or the beginning of my journey into money. It was, okay, I'm saying this, but now do I still have boundaries on time? Here we go. This is when we really start to get into the meat and potatoes, right? I had this idea that, okay, if I do this for this amount of time, then the prosperity will come, and it'll have to add up like this. So my expectation was in X amount of months, I could be prosperity, or X amount of years, or whatever the case might be. It was like, okay, well, why do I believe that? I have no idea, because I saw somebody else say it, because I just thought the logical mind thinks that. And it was, who says that you can't have it right now? Who says that something can't happen this moment? So it's starting to open my mind to how prosperity can even flow to me. Because we'll often see that we might say, I am prosperity, but now we have this defined path that's attached to it. Yeah, I'm prosperity, but I'm saying that I'm only thinking about this business, when I could stumble on the street and pick up a lottery ticket. Right? Anything could happen. I can get a check I wasn't expecting, right? Anything could happen where money could show up in your life. So now it's about removing any boundaries, any limitations, okay? So this is a fun exercise. What else would you rather be doing except for removing any boundary that keeps you from accepting that you are already it right now and that it can't happen right now, that it isn't done right now? Right? So it's simply allowing yourself to use that time that you have to work through yourself. So that's the advice that I would give. Yeah, for sure. I feel like he came for a reason. But I feel like he comes for a reason like all of us, to know himself as God. He just happened to be way ahead of everybody at the time, to the point where he could only speak in parables. Right. We all come for a reason. I might have to jump off, y'all. I said, but they don't write books about me. Yeah. You never know. You never know. Is time something? Do I believe that Jesus is God, just not more so than we are? Yeah. I believe that Jesus is God, exactly, just not more so than we are. I believe that everything is God, everyone is God. The preachings of Jesus were unity consciousness. It wasn't about worshiping me, right? I want you to really think about this, all right? Have an open mind when I say this. Because this is going to sound like extreme blasphemy if you're looking at it through the eyes of separation. Get ready to be offended, all right? The same message that anyone is preaching about oneness or unity in that time would have got them killed. The same message, right? You could insert a different person with Jesus. You can insert several different people with Jesus and get the same outcome. Several different with them and get the same outcome. I mean, we've had people throughout history come incarnate and speak about unity consciousness and oneness and all those things, right? However, in his time, okay. All right, hear me out, okay? You get called blasphemous for doing it now, right? Imagine walking into a church and saying that you were God. People would faint. They would be so pissed off. They would want to burn you at the stake. Hint, hint. I wonder what that shit was about. They would call you a witch, a demonic, all this. Who are you to do this? They would do that in this day and age. Back in the day, back then, they had no tolerance for it. No tolerance for it, right? So of course he got offed. Right? And then the same people that killed him made a religion over him. So it's very interesting how it all unfolded, but an example of one of my craziest manifestations. Y'all love examples, don't you? The craziest one that still doesn't feel right, even when I say it, is my mom's cancer. My mom had stage 4 cancer about 2 years ago. They said that she wasn't supposed to live more than a couple months. She had a stage 4 lung cancer, 5-inch tumor in her lung, and decided to see her as perfect. And now that tumor is completely gone. She's completely healed. Right, but I experience manifestations all the time. All the time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell y'all a story in real time. I have a new SP. Yeah, I have a new SP. So I'll tell y'all when it all transpires. I'm lying, by the way. No, I'm absolutely lying, by the way. No. No, okay. Y'all are tripping. Y'all are tripping. Y'all don't know. I thought y'all knew me a little bit better than that. I thought y'all knew me better than that. If I come on here talking about an SP, then
talking about manifesting the SP, just know it's a clone. It's not me. They clone Tyrone in this motherfucker. It's just... Do I think he rose from the dead? No. Sure don't. I don't believe that he was born of a virgin either. I do not.
I don't.
I believe that all organized religions have a beauty to them. Whether we talk about Islam, Christianity, whatever we're talking about, I think there's a beauty to all of them. But how I truly want to see a religion, when I look at a religion or practice, at the core of it, I want to see what resonates with me. Not saying this is right or wrong, okay? Just from my perspective. Because I can sit here and I can say, no, I don't think Jesus was God. I think we're all God. And no, I don't think Jesus was born of a virgin. Right? Some historical reports even say Jesus had siblings, like brothers. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. That's for you to research and do your own judgment or make your own decision on, right? But I think at the heart of a spiritual practice or a religious practice, what I look for, what resonates with me, is a relationship with God, right? Like unity and oneness with God at its core. That's what resonates with me. Once we get into, you have to do a whole bunch of things to be worthy and climb this ladder of righteousness, that's where it loses me. So that's what I look for. I do think that all of these religions and practices, when you really start digging into them, they do have a beautiful core to them, right? Even Christianity, right? You look at the Bible, it's beautiful. The Bible is beautifully written from a metaphysical perspective, right? Once you get past the slavery and the stoning of people and, you know, the disregarding of women, right? Once you get past all that shit, it's very beautiful text, right? But, yeah, I think at the heart of these things, it's preaching unity and oneness, right? They are preaching unity and oneness. It's just that when things get in the hands of people and control is involved, things tend to change, right? Things tend to change. So that's all. Yeah, I appreciate you as well, right? We're all on this journey together. A personal story about instant success that I had. Dang, I don't know. I've had a lot. But I would say, I don't know. It's all instant, isn't it? Just the decision that I'm prosperity is instant. But guys, I tell y'all success stories all the time. Why I'm hesitant when y'all are like, tell me this, tell me that. Because I know what you're looking for. I know that you just want proof that it's possible. You want something to believe in. Don't believe in me, right? Don't believe in me. Believe in the message, right? Believe in you, in source, right? I'm only a reflection of you. I'm just giving you information you already knew. If it resonates with you, cool. If not, that's cool as well. But don't let like my life story be the determining factor. I can sit up here. Matter of fact, the last post, the most recent post that I made on my page, where I read the long ass letter, that right there was a success story of mine. It was a personal story of mine when I couldn't pay the rent and I was gonna get evicted, and miraculously got the money. This is a true story, right? So if you want to watch that, you can watch that. But it doesn't matter how many success stories people give you. You're gonna have to make the decision anyway, right? You know, one person was like, "Hey, look, you should make a document, a notebook of everything you manifest and exactly how you did it, and journal it and share it for the public to see, or else you're a scammer." I said, my God. My goodness. What the hell are you talking about, right? It's like, even if I did that, you wouldn't believe. It's what Jesus was saying, right? Even if you people see signs and wonders, you will not believe, right? We come in here all the time, and every day somebody comes up here and they're like, this miraculous thing happens. everything's happening. The business is working. The SB came back. This money is flowing. You hear all of these miracles, yet we still look for something. We still have to cling to something else, right? So, and it's not even that about me, right? It's about us. It's about, well, when I say it's not about me, it's about you, or it's about us. It's about us sitting in the center of our own reality. We can hear whatever, but we have to make the choice. Because I've been there, right? Going all through Reddit, trying to get manifestation stories. Prove to me that this works, right? Prove to me that this works, but I can't prove it to you, right? And you will never experience. And here's another thing that's very metaphysical, and I'm going to try to say it as clear as possible. Sitting in your reality, you can only see the reflections of you. I sit in my reality and I manifest everything that I want with no problem. But you'll never experience that. Like, you'll never experience me because I'm in my own reality. You'll only experience you in the version of me that's in your reality. And I know it's like, oh, but I'm talking to you now, Alex. I get it. I hear you, right? I don't want this to sound confusing, right? But you'll never truly know what's going on in my life. You'll only know your perspective of it. I'll never really know what's going on in your life. I'll never truly know. I'll only know my perspective of it. You'll never get to experience my mind, my knowing, my conviction. That's it. You'll only be able to experience yours. And then your belief, your perspective of my conviction. Right? I walk around believing that I have this strong, I believe my conviction is second to none. And I can explain that. But here is the thing. Could I ever prove it? Who could I measure my conviction against? What is conviction? What is knowing? So it wouldn't even make sense for me to ask you, how do I know? I just know. I will never ever get to feel what somebody else's conviction or knowing is. I might watch a video when somebody's talking shit. I might watch a Kobe Bryant video, right? And Kobe is talking about this, and I say, man, that's conviction. But I won't know. I'll only know my perspective, my perception of what he's saying. Right? So here's the bigger proof, right? Here's the bigger point, right? Cecilia, hear this. This is the bigger point. You're the only one who decides what knowing, believing, conviction is. You're the only one. You can't measure anyone else's. You can only measure yours. So even asking somebody, what did you do? It doesn't matter what they did. It's what they knew. It's what they believe. It's what they accepted as true about themselves. This is a gem right here. This is worth $1 million in game, right? This is $1 million worth of game right here. We sit here and we try to compare our knowing and conviction to other people. When we can't. We only know us. I only know what I believe to be true. I only know what I know. I don't know what you know. So what do you mean? How do I know? How much do I have to know? 100%? 50%? 60%? I can't measure. I don't know. I don't have a conviction thermometer that I can shove in your mouth. Just open up. Okay. 50%. I guess that'll do. Your reality is your reality. Your conviction, your knowing is your knowing. All right. So we have to decide who we are. Hitting heavy? What you mean? What you mean? Oh, the discussion? It was. I think it was a little deeper. This one was a little bit deeper than usual.
And I actually had the assumption that was going to be deeper, which was something that I thought of in the midst of it. And I was like, you know what? I shouldn't have that assumption that it's going to be deeper. It just is. It just is another conversation. And I think even in that assumption, I started judging even. Because sometimes I'll stop at certain points because somebody might ask a question about something. I'm like, okay, cool. And I can go a little bit deeper in that one. Or they'll just give me like a little bait. And I'll chase the bait. And it'll allow me to expand on something in a different way that I didn't plan or think of doing before. And this time I feel like I was missing that because I made the assumption that this one was going to be deeper. So I caught myself in the middle of it, and I was like, oh, that's an assumption. It just is another discussion. And then once I caught that, I was able to actually get more in flow with this discussion. So, yeah, see? Nobody's perfect, right? Still, we all face things, right? It's simply about, are we aware enough to see ourselves, right? Are we actually being honest with ourselves on that journey? Right. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother. We got a question for the ladies. We got a question for her. It's completely off topic. Have y'all ever seen a man that you were attracted to and went in his DMs? And do you think that you have a good line that you would use? No? Never? Okay. Look at y'all. Okay. B, we got one honest person in the chat. Miss B. What was the line? What was the line? Thank you, Lacey. Thank you, Yessie. Said basic things about their content, but not trying to flirt. In person, maybe. I got you. I'm just curious. I'm always curious. All right. Do y'all think that y'all could... Okay, if you had to start a conversation with a man right now, right? If you had to go start, like, shoot your shot at a dude in his DMs or in person, are you bold enough to do that? That's another good question, my brother. That's another good question right there, Jay. And why, like, why not? So y'all would. Okay, why haven't you thus far? And here's the thing. If you haven't thus far, do you feel like you might be missing out on certain opportunities by not doing it? I'm too bold for something. I mean, if you say so. If you say so. I asked the man out for dinner once. For his first time. Don't regret it. I always think it's fun. I think most men would agree. Like, it's cool to not always be the one approaching. I mean, it's cool to approach women, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, it's fun too. But sometimes I think you guys would be surprised if you did shoot your shot more at men. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at the type of results that you could receive. Feminine energy doesn't need to lead. Yeah, everybody likes being liked, even men. That's a great point. Like, everybody likes being liked. Sometimes we get so much into that femininity and masculinity, right, that we just forget that both of us are humans and we're all just trying to know that the person opposite of us actually likes us, right? Like dang. There we go, Val. There we go, Val.
Yeah, I think if I could give y'all women some game, the art of complimenting a man will take you a long way. Like being able to compliment a man. Not, because a lot of men aren't just walking around getting complimented left and right, right? But a compliment to a man, right? And then it'll be a genuine compliment, something like not even just about his outfit, right? Compliment a man's smile, compliment a man's eyes, or compliment like a man's skin, something like that, or his presence, or it's just like compliment something that is different, right? Something that's genuine and different, right? And watch. Compliment a man's smile, he gonna turn into a smiley ass motherfucker around you. I've been dealing with the ego of a person in my life. We've been off and on for years. Recently, she said somebody else is natural, we're together. Now she wants to move in together. Knowing she slept with other people make me angry inside, disgusted. Because you have a preference. And that's fine. But if you want to move forward with this person, I would ask you, I would say, okay, well, what future do you want to hold on to? Do you want to hold on to the version of her that's going to do that? Or do you actually want this? Because if you do want this, you can still make a beautiful story with her. But if you don't, there's no point in moving forward. But you're in the driver's seat. Don't get mad at yourself for not liking that. It's just a natural response. It's fine. But now you get to decide how you want to move forward. Y'all would be surprised, like if you literally, like ladies, if y'all actually went to my profile and go to like the followers, right, and you scroll through, you'd be surprised at how many probably good men that you're gonna find in there. Good men. Matter of fact, if you go through this live stream right now, you'd probably be surprised at some of the good men in here. I just answered some of y'all prayers right there, and you don't even know. You're too blind to see. Let those that have eyes see. Let those that have ears hear. Yeah, like, I want you to think, it's Friday night. It's Friday night. Down here soaking up game. Probably about to do a little reading, a little meditation, about to do some workouts. Don't miss the lottery. Don't miss the lottery. Don't miss the lottery. Y'all need to go and start shooting y'all shots. What is the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? What's the worst and the best that could happen? You feel me? I'm for sure gonna be at the wedding. You already know that. It would be cool, like with the community that's kind of building here. It would be cool to have like a little speed dating thing. It would be pretty cool to do a little speed dating thing. No, you can't bring your SP with you. Leave your SP at home. Some of y'all gonna still find a way to ask me about your SP while you're there. Hey, I was contestant number 2. He was cool and all, but just quick question. Quick question on what? Quick question though. Whenever y'all start saying quick question, I know you lying to me. Quick question. So I've been thinking. Oh yeah, you have, huh? About what? About what? About what? About what? Dang, did I miss this message? I was supposed to be on. I don't know what that is. Tartaria. I don't know what that is. For sure, yeah, you can manifest something for anybody, right? Those are the teachings of Jesus when he was healing other people, right? He was manifesting wholeness, health for them, simply as seeing them as whole and complete and all that. So yes, you get to decide who everybody in your reality is. So you make your reality better just by deciding who you are in the middle of your reality. Yeah, I really am pushing all of y'all to take your SB off the pedestal. That's my thing. And yes, if you want to be together, absolutely, then yeah, you have to find a way to let it go. You have to find a way to see. I mean, you focusing on it, what is it going to do? It's not creating a reality that you even want to be in. Right? If you want to be together, you have to find a way to see this person as God. Yes, they did whatever and you weren't together, and that's fine. But now you get to create reality from this point forward. You get to create a beautiful story with them from this moment forward. Right? So how can you see them perfectly and divinely and holy? How can you know that they're sorry and they wouldn't have done it if y'all were together, and you can move forward in that knowing that even that gave them the contrast they needed to know that now they're not finna fuck up no more. They're not finna do that shit anymore. Even that gave them a greater clarity and greater love for you. It all led back to you anyway. So if it all led back to me anyway, then what am I worrying about it for right now? Love you too, love you too, love you too, love you too. To be fair, my SP is looking pretty blah these days. Maybe some new issues. What I want. Yeah. Some new stuff always works. You know, some new is always good. The best is new. Or something like that. Appreciate you, B. Appreciate you, B. Yeah, it's only one seat on the throne, right? Y'all not sharing seats. Y'all not sharing seats. You too thick to share a seat with your SP. You got too much ass for that. Can't share a seat with them. Right? It's for you. You got this. I love new. I love new. You know that's right. The thickest of them all. I'm gonna go back to Vegas. Might take another trip out there soon. Maybe for like New Year's. Oh, maybe New Year's Eve in Vegas would be cool. New Year's Eve in Vegas would be live. Damn, y'all convinced me. You're right. I'm finna go back to Vegas for New Year's. It's wild. That's what I'm talking about. Fortunately, that matches me.